He lost 8 of his 13 children. He lost his beloved wife to illness. He ruled an empire ravaged by plague and endless war. Most of us would have crumbled, but he did not. Amidst all this unimaginable loss, the most powerful man in the world, Emperor Marcus Aurelius, sat down in a cold tent and wrote. He didn't write to command. He wrote to find a way out. And in the pages of his private journal, he left behind a map, a secret to finding peace, even when the world around you is burning. This isn't just another video about grief. This is a deconstruction of the Stoic Emperor's mental toolkit. Together, we will understand why our minds spiral into chaos after a loss, then unlock the 3 golden principles he used to turn tragedy into strength. And finally, you will receive a practical exercise to begin your own journey toward an unshakable mind. Don't go anywhere. These next 15 minutes will change the way you see everything. So, where does the Emperor's map begin? It doesn't start with a solution. It starts with an accurate diagnosis. An understanding of why the pain of loss isn't just a fleeting sadness, but can become a relentless torture, especially for those with a mind that never rests. It is the beginning of a never-ending nightmare. Why does loss hurt so much? It's not just the absence of a person. Ironically, it is the presence of a new, ceaseless inner monologue. Our brain, at its core, is a survival machine. It hates chaos. It hates what it cannot control. And death is the ultimate loss of control. When faced with it, the brain enters a state of alarm. Reason is paralyzed. It sees loss as a corrupted file, a critical error that must be solved. And it desperately seeks control in the only way it knows how, by replaying the past, trying to find a variable it could have changed. That is when the torture begins. Imagine it. You're lying awake at 3 a.m. Everything is silent, but your mind is a storm. You remember a missed phone call, a harsh word spoken in anger, a visit postponed with the excuse, "I'll do it next week," while a pang of anguish grips your heart. And then the mind tells you, if only I had picked up the phone. If only I hadn't said that. If only I had visited sooner. Every if only is a needle piercing your conscience. Your mind at this moment acts as a merciless prosecutor. And you are the sole defendant in a trial that never ends. You convict yourself, pass your own sentence, and carry it out through sleepless nights and days of torment. This is no longer simple grief. This is a prison of regret. And Marcus Aurelius, the emperor sitting in his tent amidst the clash of swords and the cries of the plague, understood this mental torture better than anyone. He knew the greatest enemy wasn't the barbarian tribes at the border, but the chaotic thoughts within. So how do you escape a prison when the bars are made of your own thoughts? How do you find freedom when you are also the jailer? You have enslaved yourself. The Stoics believed the key wasn't to try and break the bars. Attempting to fight or suppress these thoughts only makes them stronger. The key lies in realizing a simple truth, a truth that has been obscured by the storm of emotion, that you have been holding the key in your hand all along, and that is the first shift, the core of the Stoic operating system. That key, the first law of the Stoic OS, is astonishingly simple. Separate what you can control from what you cannot. Our mind, in its grief, often merges these two. It torments itself over words spoken, actions taken in the past. Yes, at that time you had control over them, but the past itself, the moment it slips by, it is out of your hands, forever. The final moment of your loved one, the sudden illness, the fateful accident, these are completely beyond your control. You are only human, you are not a god. Guilt lives in the delusion that you can time travel and alter a sealed past. Freedom begins the moment you accept this raw truth and focus your energy on the only thing you truly possess, your thoughts and your actions, right here, right now. Marcus Aurelius himself wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Think about that. He wrote these lines while commanding legions, facing betrayal from his most trusted general, and witnessing a plague decimate his people. He could not control the plague. He could not control the betrayal, but he could control his response. He chose reason over rage, duty over despair. That is the first step to unlocking the prison. But the Stoics didn't stop there. They don't just teach us to escape guilt. They teach us to find strength in tragedy itself. This is the second principle, Amor Fati, the art of loving what is. This is the ultimate upgrade from mere acceptance. Don't just endure your fate, love it. Why? Because every event, no matter how painful, is now an inseparable thread in the tapestry of your life. To wish it away is to wish for a different life, a different you. Amor Fati is the defiant act of saying, "This event, this pain, is now part of my story. It will not destroy me. It will forge me." It transforms you from a victim of circumstance into a co-creator of your own character. As Marcus wrote, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." Your pain, your loss, is the fuel. You can let it consume you, or you can use it to light the way forward. This leads us to the third principle, the most powerful tool to ensure you always choose the light. That is Memento Mori. Remember, you must die. This is the most misunderstood principle of Stoicism. It is not morbid. On the contrary, it is a tool for clarification. The constant, gentle reminder of your own mortality acts as an ultimate filter. It burns away the trivial, the petty arguments, the fear of judgment, the pursuit of meaningless things. The death of a loved one is a harsh reminder of this truth. The Stoic uses it not to despair about the end, but to live more fiercely, more intentionally, and more virtuously. Now, because as Marcus Aurelius warned, it is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live. And here we must clarify one thing. A common misconception is that Stoics are emotionless robots. This is false. Marcus Aurelius grieved. Seneca wrote of his sorrow. The goal was never to eradicate emotions, but to not be enslaved by them. To feel sadness, but not let it drown you. To feel anger, but not let it poison you. Stoicism gives you a precious space between a feeling and your reaction to it. And in that space lies your freedom and your peace. These principles sound powerful. The Dichotomy of Control, Amor Fati, Memento Mori. They are like ancient, potent weapons. But we must face a hard truth. Knowing about a weapon and wielding it skillfully are two very different things. There will be days when theory collapses in the face of reality. There will be nights when, despite your best efforts to distinguish what you can control, guilt still creeps back in. There will be moments when loving your fate feels like a cruel joke. This is not a sign of failure. This is a sign of being human. The practice of Stoicism is not a straight line upward. It is a process of stumbling and getting back up. Even Marcus Aurelius had to write these principles down for himself day after day, not because he forgot, but because he knew he needed the reminder. So, how do we turn philosophy into practice? How do we translate these lofty ideas into concrete actions when our minds are in turmoil? We begin with the simplest of tools. The first tool is the ledger of control. This is the exercise for the dichotomy of control. Take a piece of paper, or open a note on your phone. Draw a line down the middle. On the left, write the heading, "Things I Cannot Control." List them all. The fact that they are gone, the past, the words that were said, the reactions of others. On the right, write things I can control. List them. My thoughts about the past, how I treat my body today, the choice to be kind to a stranger, the decision to call a friend, the act of spending time with those who are still here. Whenever guilt or torment arises, open this ledger. Look at it. Does the source of your anguish fall on the left side? If yes, take a deep breath. Acknowledge that you are fighting an unchangeable reality. And then, consciously, choose one action from the right side and do it, even the smallest one. This is not just a writing exercise. This is a mental push-up. The second tool for the principle of Memento Mori is gratitude for what remains. The departure of one person is a brutal reminder of the fragility of all that we have. Instead of letting that reminder drown us in despair, the Stoic uses it to ignite gratitude. Tonight, before you sleep, don't just mourn what you have lost. Intentionally write down 3 things you are grateful for about someone who is still in your life. A shared memory, a kind word, their simple presence. This practice is not a magic pill to erase the pain. Nothing is. But it is like adding light to a dark room. The darkness is still there, but now you can see other things. It rebalances the scales of your mind, preventing it from being completely consumed by the shadow of loss. These are not grand gestures, but it is in these small, intentional, and repeated actions that inner strength is built. Just as an emperor, not through one great victory, but through daily discipline, built an empire. You too can build an inner citadel of your own, brick by brick. It will start to show results once it becomes a habit. All change will gradually seep into your life. So we have journeyed together. We began, lost in the labyrinth of a grieving, overthinking mind, imprisoned by the question, what if? We learned from a Roman emperor that we can separate what we control from what we cannot. And in that separation, find freedom from the burden of guilt. We learn not just to accept, but to love our fate, turning the fire of our pain into a brilliant light that forges our character. And finally, we learn that remembering death is not about dwelling in pessimism, but is the ultimate tool for truly beginning to live a life of purpose, a life free from the slavery of one's own emotions. This is not an easy path. It requires practice, patience, and the courage to face yourself. But it is a path worth walking. Here is my challenge to you. For the next 7 days, I don't want you to try to be happy. I just want you to do one small, controllable action in honor of the person you lost. It could be reading a page of their favorite book, listening to a song they loved, or simply performing an act of kindness for a stranger, as they would have. Share what you did in the comments if you feel comfortable. Let us together turn memory into action and build a legacy of love, not just of loss. And finally, I leave you with a question to ponder, a question from Marcus Aurelius himself. What is the one lesson your loss has taught you that, paradoxically, has made you a better human being? Share your wisdom below. Because on this journey of facing our mortality, your story might just be the torch that lights the way for someone else walking in the dark. Thank you for being here.